Hey everyone, thank you very much for watching my brand new video. Today we're going to be looking at flushing your heater core in your 2004 to 2008 Pontiac Grand Prix. But honestly, not only does it apply to other generations and other cars like the Chevy Impala and the Monte Carlo and stuff, but it applies to most any car with a couple of exceptions here and there. But pretty much is the same process across the board. As usual, whether you like or dislike the video, let me know. Make sure to comment, subscribe, all the usual YouTube stuff. That just keeps me going. Make sure I keep putting out content. Other than that, though, let's get into some reasons why you're doing it, huh? So kind of the main reason you're flushing the heater cores, especially if looking at the 2004 to 2000 Grand Prix, they're already going into or past the 10-year point. And if you're not aware or not, Cool is supposed to be a long life coolant, and it is. It does, when it's working, does last longer than regular green stuff coolant. But it also breaks down, and when it breaks down, it forms this thick sludge. Having opened any GM vehicles that have Cool running in them, and if they weren't maintained properly, or if they have a lot of high mileage in there, it's no longer coolant in there. It's just like a thick clay. So that's kind of why you want to purge it out every once in a while. So this will either help you kind of clean it out. Now, the reason I'm not doing the whole system is because when you flush out, before you do flush the whole system, and I would like to flush the system at some point, and I have done it in the past before. This is actually my third time since having the car. Just because I know what happens with Cool. I want to do. You always want to do the heater core separately first. It is part of the system, and when you do a flush, like a rad full cooling system flush, it will take care of it. But you want to do the heater core separately because it tends to build up a lot of sludge in it. And if you do a whole system flush without doing the heater core, if it's clogged or anything like that, the water and solution you put through is not really going to get in there and penetrate it. And you want to do that separately to get that cleaned out as best as possible first. And then, of course, then you could do the whole system afterwards. So we're just going to focus on the heater core today, getting all that done. It's a pretty easy process. It seemed a little daunting at first. Follow the steps, though. That's actually not that bad. It's pretty easy to do. I guess a couple things to mention first. Make sure you're being safe with the coolant itself. It is very toxic, and it's bad for the paint of your car and for if it falls in components and stuff. But at the same time, too, it's also toxic for things like animals, for kids, for the environment. Make sure when you're doing this, you're storing it in a container, and then you're disposing it properly. Don't let it just fall into the sewers because this stuff is pretty potent stuff. All right. So that's my warning to you. Make sure you're doing this the right way. Don't just be like, I'm gonna dump it. It's fine. No, who cares? No, this stuff is actually pretty nasty stuff. So with that said, let's go through a little bit more into the car and let's get started. So let's talk about a little bit more about what you'll be doing here today. Now, there's actually different levels and different ways to go about it. I'll be doing what I believe to be the best way possible to do this, but there is different ways. But ultimately what you're looking at is you've got these two hoses here. That's your inlet hose and that's your outlet hose. It comes out from the top, as you can see. The upper hose, that's that one right there. And then that's the outlet hose. So when this runs through, it actually runs from this top hose down into the heater core and then back out. So when you're flushing, you want to start off with flushing from the outlet in. We'll talk about that in a bit. But as you can see, there's some clamps down there. And then there's some over on these over here. Now, really, to do this job, even at this most base form, this is really all you need. You need a channel locks or something where you can clamp down on those clamps I just showed you, so you can pull down your the hose off. And then something like this, a clear hose. I'll take care of the pinches after. When I bought it, it was tied up, so it's pinched, but I'll take care of that. And even then, once you straighten it out, it'll work itself out. But anyways, that's all you really need to do this at its most base form, but there is better ways to do this. Now, if we take this here, we can just disconnect down there, hook up the clear hoses. You need two of that length, one for the bottom, one for the top, and then run the hoses out. One is going to be for where you hook up the hose, and one is going to run out to a bucket of some sort, and then that you can use that in order to purge out the car. I'm going to go a little bit further than that though, because not oftentimes, but it can build up a lot of that Dex Cool sludge in the hoses as well. So instead of going here, I'm going to flush it from over on that side over there. To do that, I'll have to get in here and take off the clamps on this end. And then I'll likely have to take this off too, just to give myself some room. You don't have to, and if you feel nimble enough, you can get in there. But I think I may take it off. I'll try and see if my channel locks can get in there. If not, I'll take this off, which is just these two screws, nuts right over here. Now, to do that though, you'll need a couple extra things. I've got there my equal length hoses. Now, technically when most people do that, they use one short hose, one long hose. I like to use two long hoses, and you'll see why in a bit, but just makes things a little bit easier. So aside from that, I'm also going to need two of these fittings. These are 5/8 to 5/8 joiners. Nothing fancy, just something that I can use, that I can plug in to the rubber hose that we disconnect from there. You need something that's not going to damage it. So you don't want to shove it in either. You just want to put it in so the water can flow through, because we're not going to be using a lot of pressure in the hose. You don't need a lot of pressure. And then, of course, something that'll go into that side of it. So you need to join both hoses. That's what this is going to serve here. You'll also need one of these. One moment. 5/8 adapter. So this is where you can plug into your hose. And then you can put that right into the other end of the hose when you're flushing through. And I like to interchange, which is why I use two longer hoses. Put it first on the outlet side, back flush it through, and then once that's done, put it on the inlet side and flush it through. Just make sure you get everything that's in there, because because it flows, Dex Cool and coolant flows, it may form and form in one direction, kind of almost like a form fitted to one direction. But of course, when you flush the other way, it's going to force out all the gunk. But then you still afterwards flush through, just make sure you're getting everything through. So this makes it nice and easy, because you can just put it right into the hoses, for example, right here, and just put it like that with the water. You get the idea. I can't do it with one hand, but you see. And then I'll just flush the water through, and then I can interchange the hoses. So you need one of those. What is also very helpful, but not necessary, is a flush stuff. Anything to do with flushing, Prestone, anything like that. I have your Hyperlube Super Flushing Cleaner. This formula technically is supposed to do your whole cooling system, so you don't have to use the entire thing. I may just throw it in there for, just because. But just because I'm not going to be doing my heating system at this point, so might as well just use it up. We'll see. It depends how I feel. But this is what you need. So between all these things here, two adapters, and this one here, that really more or less is all you need to flush out your system. And when I say at the beginning that all you really, and a channel locks, of course, for the clamps. So when I said at the beginning that all you really need is hose, because if you really, really wanted to, or tight on cash, or you can't get access to the fittings and the cleaner, you can just use a hose. Put this onto, on the firewall, the two inlet and outlets on the firewall, and flush it through there. Run the coolant through just by taking your hose, putting it in here, and flushing it through with low pressure. You can do that too, and that'll work. But we're going to go a little more in depth, and we want to make sure we're really flushing it out, because Dex Cool tends to be, coagulate in there. So but with all this here, should be more than enough to get everything done. It shouldn't take very long. So let's get started now. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to take this off right here, which is again just the 10mm nuts right here. And they're so easy to come off, you can pull them by hand once you crack them. Most times you may not even need the ratchet. There. Hopefully my strut bar doesn't give me too much trouble getting this out. Okay, and once we get this out here, so I'm actually going to take off the fuse box to I can get it past the strut bar But with everything here, I can't get it past the fuse box. So again, same thing, just 2 nuts right over here. These are 11 millimeter. Now, just as a kind of a reminder, if you don't have one of these strut tower bars installed, in all likelihood you don't, they were in a factory option, then you won't have to take out. You shouldn't need to take out the fuse box. You should be able to disconnect the overflow tank and just kind of lift it up and out over here. This is one extra step I have to take, but I'm just showing you guys. So we'll just take that off and move it aside, and then we're going to take out this here carefully. And now let me just get this here. See, it's out. It's connected with the hose. I'm not even disconnect the hose. I'm just going to take it and I'm going to place it to the side right there. That'll give me a lot of access here. All right, so I've already put the fitting, as you can see, on here, and it's ready to go. So as soon as I disconnect the hose, I can put it right in. Now we're going to go in here and we're going to use our channel locks. We're going to clamp down. Now you may get some coolant that's going to come out. That's perfectly fine. Try to move it up so that way I can get more leverage on it. Because where it is, it's again awkward spot. But there, see? Oh, don't slip on me now. So we're just going to move that right up. There, that's better. So as you can see now, I lifted off. Now I'm going to take this off. You got to be careful when you're taking this. You don't want to break any components that go on here. We're getting ready with our hose. There. Plug that right away. There. That, as you can see now, is all set, ready to go. You may get some little runoff of here. We'll wash that down afterwards. Some coolant that's going to drip out. Now we will do the same to the other side. Well, funny story for you guys. In the time I was buying this stuff, I don't know how I made this mistake, but I did, to be honest. I bought a 5/8, but I bought a male connector. What you actually need is a 5/8 to a female connector, so you can actually screw that onto your hose and put that in. Like I said, this is not a necessary part. This would have made things easier, because then I could have just put the hose right on, put it right into the ends of the hose, and feed the water through. Since I'm not going to bother to go back to the store to get one, so instead, I'm just going to use the hose. I'm going to put it right on here, and I'm going to flush the water through. And then we'll see what comes through on the other end here. Okay, so again, I'm feeding right now into the outlet hose, and we're going to see a flush come through on the inlet hose. So let's see what we get. Now you don't need too much pressure. Coolant looks pretty good, actually. Like I said, I did a flush a few years ago on this, and there was improvement to the heater core. Again, not too much pressure. You see the water is already clearing there. So you get nice clear water coming through. Now once that's done, I like to reverse the procedure. So now I will take the outlet hose and put it in here. And I'll take out our inlet hose. Just swap those. And again, we'll reverse this. So we're just going to put the hose right on here. I'm going to reflush it. Again, looking for any contaminants. clogging, if there's any problems with the flow through, anything like that. And I'd say that looks pretty good. Before I ran our flush through, I just want to take a quick look here. You can see the coolant's looking very nice and orange, not clogged or thick, coagulated, kind of muddy sort of stuff. Again, this is because of the regular maintenance I put in. I do believe this has played a big part in this as well. Simply because if you don't maintain Dexcool, it will break down. Trust me, I've seen it tons of times. Just look up Dexcool sludge or anything like that. You'll see exactly what I mean. Trust me. This is looking good though. I'm actually very pleased with this. I'm very happy to see that everything's looking pretty smooth inside. But I just want to kind of show you guys what we're looking at. We're looking at pretty good coolant right inside there. All right, so now we're going to put the flush stuff inside. And to do that, we're going to take back out our outlet hose. As you can see, I've opened up the flush, and basically I'm going to pour it until we start seeing the blue come through the inlet. So just going to make sure everything's still hooked up. Looks good. I checked earlier, I didn't see any leaks, so that's always double check if there's any leaking or anything happening. All looks well, so we're just going to proceed now. Just going to hook this up. Let gravity help me here. I'm just going to lift it up. So it's going to be kind of out of camera a bit, but I'm going to let gravity kind of do some of the work. Hopefully you guys are seeing. Oops. Looks like I'm going to be using the full bottle here. Well, see it coming through on the inlet now. So I'll just pour the full bottle in. Let it work its way down. Now, because again we're fighting gravity, I'm just going to take the hose, I'm just going to push a little bit of water in, basically until I see none of the blue that's in here. There we go. So I'm seeing the blue come out of the inlet hose now, and that's good. I'm going to put this in here. Always remember, of course, read the directions. Not all flushes are the same, but I'm going to leave this in here for a bit. Now, normally what you should be doing is sealing this off and running it. In this case here, all I wanted to do, I'm not looking to clean all the internals of the engine. I just want to clean any gunk or buildup that's on the heater core itself that's gone on the inside. So I'm just going to leave it for about 5 minutes, and then I will... Actually, I'll leave it for 10 minutes, just based on the instructions I see there. And all we're going to do now is we're going to flush out all the flush solution that we put in there, hyper flush in this case, and just see that all the blue is out and it's just clear water that's coming. And then after that, it's pretty much just putting everything back together. So again, same process before. We leave the inlet hose here. We're going to use the outlet hose. Everything's kind of crossed over, so let's just do that. Remember too, if you get any of this stuff, whether you get the flush solution, whether you get coolant or anything on the car, make sure you wash it off. You don't want to leave that stuff on there because it could damage the paint. So just give it a quick hose off at least. Don't worry about getting water on the engine too. I have engine cleaning videos. You'll see that it's perfectly safe to do that. But that's another story for another time. Right now, don't worry about it. Just make sure you don't get the coolant anywhere because you don't want anything to be damaged. So all we're going to do now is, again, I've got the rubber hose here, and I've got the hose. We're just going to spray that and get all the blue out. And while we're doing this, of course, we're looking for any type of buildup. We may see, for example, this may loosen up some stuff within there. So it will allow us to take a look and see if anything has broken down inside or if it's looking all good and clear. In this case, if you're looking, you can see it's actually looking very, very good.
So I think that's a good take right there. We're all nice and cleared out. Alright, so earlier on I said really you can do this whole job with a rubber hose. And I kind of lied. I forgot a couple things. Mainly because you need to be able to put the coolant back in. You need to charge your heater core essentially. So you need a funnel and you need coolant. The two most obvious things, right? So I forgot to mention at the beginning that you would need a funnel because trying to put coolant into a fellow 5/8 hose would be hard. And of course you need the coolant itself. Now, before I proceed, you can actually do this without putting the coolant, without charging the heater core. But you run the risk of trapping air inside the heater core if you just hook everything back up at this stage here. Open up the rad, which we'll have to do in a second, you'll see that. And then run the car. You could trap actually coolant inside the trap air inside the heater core itself. You don't want to do that because one, you're not going to get any heat in there. And two, it'll cause the deck spool to break down. The air will react with it, so you don't want to do that either. So now at this point here, if you have a compressor, you can actually use the air to push out the rest of the water. I only recommend doing that if you have a compressor where you can actually tune how much air pressure, because you don't want to shoot a lot of pressure in there either. In this case here, we're not going to do that. I'm just going to use gravity and the hydraulic pressure from putting coolant in along with the gravity, and we're going to push that out until I see the orange flow through. So I've got here, it's a little bit tricky of course because you're dealing with the angle of holding. You don't want to drop any coolant and so on. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to pour some coolant in, then I'm going to lift it and let gravity do its thing. And basically it's the same thing. Now I'm doing this on the inlet hose in case you're missing it there. This point doesn't really matter too much. And aside from that, it's the same procedure. You're doing this until you see the orange come through on the outlet hose. Also, you want to be looking to make sure that no air is coming along with it. You want it to be as smooth as possible. See, it's already turning orange. I can see it turning orange there. So we're on our way now. Shouldn't take too much. Alright, that's good. You can see nice, fresh, orange deck spool. As a reminder, of course, I'm using 50/50 premix. You know, there's benefits to both. I do like buying the unmixed when it's just the coolant because you actually get more bang for your buck. In Canadian, those are about $23 Canadian, and you're getting essentially 50% water, 50% coolant. When you go and buy in the store, you can buy one full jug, and that's actually 100% coolant inside. And the benefit to that is when you add the water and everything, you're actually doubling up. So you're paying the same, roughly 22 bucks or so for unmixed version. But then when you mix it in and everything like that, you're actually doubling it because, of course, you're mixing 50/50. So that one bottle actually is like having two bottles. So that's nice to do. But in this case, I just bought some quick premix quickly just to get the job done. So as you can see here now, we fed everything through. And so it's just a matter of hooking everything back up, and we're going to do that right now. Alright, so at this point here, everything is pretty much the reverse of what we did before. So we've got to disconnect these hoses. We've got to obviously minimize spilling and stuff like that. Once we do that, then it's just a matter of putting the hoses back on, reclamping it, and then we have one more step afterwards. Now, do expect, no matter what you do and what you try, you are going to get some spillage here. Here, of course, we try and, turn it up. Let me reset this camera. There. Turn it up, let gravity do whatever it can as far as putting that down, but gravity will only work so far. So now we're just going to disconnect from in here. Again, do expect. Now watch the alternator too. You're not going to want to get any coolant on there. Okay. And then we're just going to take that. Again, some coolant's going to leak. You're going to get a little bit messy. Try and be as quick as possible. Camera's getting in my way. Ugh. That didn't go as quite as planned, but partially because the camera was in the way of exactly where my hand needed to go. But that's okay. When you're doing this, trust me, it'll be considerably easier. And as you can see, that's now attached and good. Now we're gonna get. Actually, give me a second. Oh no, we're gonna. You know what? No, I'm just gonna go with it. I'm gonna get my channel lock. I'm gonna go in here. Just gonna bring that down. You know, if I didn't have that strut bar there, I'd actually get you guys a better angle because I could do it from up here. But I can't because, as you see, blocking it. Alright, I think that angle is a little better. Alright, hopefully I can work with that too. So, actually, I'm going to use smaller pliers. Sorry, I know you guys are just looking at my hands. Not hard to do, but there we go. All right, nice and secure. That's the way we want it. And now we got to do the same for this one here. And again, not much you can really do. There is going to be some spillage. I think gravity do some of the work, and it's going to backfeed as much as it possibly can. The more, the merrier. Oh, there we go. It's really taking it all in. Hopefully it takes it all. And then, the more it takes in, the less problems we have. Okay. Let's take that out of there. Okay. Oh. Get the channel lock in there. It's easier. Channel lock gives you more leverage. But it's a little bigger, so it's hard, more awkward to deal with. Almost there. I'll do the rest with the pliers. Alright, we're all set. Hoses are now reattached. So, all we got to do from here is put this on. Let me see if I can do it with the one hand. So swing this back over and through. Yeah, I want to be careful of that strut bar. Alright, I decided to switch onto the tripod here, make it easier. So make sure though, when you're putting it, see it's got this little notch at the bottom here. I don't know if you guys are seeing that, but it hooks onto the bottom, so you want to make sure you're notching it into that. There you go. And you just swing it right over and on. You're all set in a few spots back. And that's done. Put our two obstructions or anything. Actually have an amplifier and my audio system running behind this. We're going to do a problem with that. Alright, so you have the amp wire that runs there. One of them anyways. Okay. I remember these, as you just saw, they were so easy to take off. Means they're also very easy to put on. You don't want to put a lot of pressure, you don't have to over torque them. Basically until, not even hand tight, basically until you start just feeling a little firmness to it. Like that, that's good, that's all you need. And then I'll switch to my 10. Now the last step here, let me see if you can see. Yeah, you can. Good. So it's a rad. So you got to open up the rad, and this rad cap is a little tight, but it's good. Add a little bit of gunk in there, but not too bad. So from here, you'll top up the coolant inside up to a level. Now, let me take this off here so I can show you guys. This rod is kind of interesting in the sense that if you look through here, obviously you could see that the filler tube is at an angle. A lot of cars is on the top. So this poses two problems. Number one, when you're filling it here now, you don't want to fill it up to here because it's going to run over. You want to fill it, I don't know if you can see it in there. There's a little bit of an orange mark in there. From a little bit of the buildup that happened inside. You want to basically fill up there. You don't want to go past the filler neck marking right here at all. Lower the better. Also at the same time too, if you have any air in the lines, you got to be careful, because when you have the rads where the filler is at the top, if there's air, especially if there's a lot of air, it's going to come through the top. It's going to bubble out, but it's not so bad with this here though, especially if there's a lot of air. It'll bubble, but it'll actually almost like vomit it out right onto your engine, and you want to be careful of that too. And make sure you clean any of that up. So just be wary of that. But now we've opened it up. We're going to top it up with coolant. Alright, so I've topped up the coolant, as you can see. It's almost at the top. I don't know if you can see it in there. It's like in the filler neck. But it's topped up now. So now what we do is just got to run the car. Alright, run the car. Don't mind the exhaust, by the way. I'm sure you'll hear it. So we're going to start that up. Okay, and then we're going to run the car. Doesn't matter here. I'm going to put it on vent, hot, on. Open the windows so we can get like a furnace in here. We're still in the summertime. And then you let that run for a few minutes. You essentially want to run until the temperature starts going up. It takes a few minutes, obviously, depending on the condition of your car, thermostat, etc., etc. So you want that to run up. Now, once it reaches warm, you're also going to check the coolant level in the radiator. This part here, I'm just going to kind of leave to you guys pretty straightforward. As it runs through, especially as the car turns on and warms up, it's going to start running the coolant through the engine. You can tell because the fan will turn on as well. When that happens, look and see. You're going to see the coolant level will drop, right? When it drops, just take your funnel, the same funnel you used, that's the same funnel I used to top it up, and you're going to put your funnel in, and you're going to top up the coolant until it's at a level, until you see it no longer drops. When that happens and it's complete, it's now complete. Your job is done. That's it. You're all set from there. So hopefully this has helped you guys flush out your heater core. I do intend to do another video in the future about flushing out the system itself. That'll be another time. Hopefully I'll do it before the fall. I don't know. We'll see how things go. Other than that though, at least for flushing the heater core, if you get any heating problems, the car is heating up just fine, but you're getting low heat coming through the vents, this here will be a good way for you to deal with that. Again, let me know if you have any comments, subscribe and like, the usual YouTube stuff. On that, I'll see you next video. Thanks a lot.